joining us. So I'll read out some of their names. So hi, Samir. Samir is joining us from Delhi. Good morning, Duncan. Um, Good evening, Omaha, Nebraska. Hi, Rohit from Jaipur. Hi, Satyan from Bangalore. Hi, Swajasha. I think I'm pronouncing your name right. She's joining us from Delhi. Good evening, Ram Lakshmi from Hyderabad. Paul from Nigeria. Hi from Indonesia. I didn't get your name, but wonderful to have you here with us. Good evening, Pragya from Noida. Wonderful. Uh, so many people sharing their introductions. So, in case you're joining us from YouTube or LinkedIn, you can definitely share your introductions in the comment section, and we will make sure we take a look at that as well. So, I think it's time. It's already 1 minute past 8. So, I'm going to quickly introduce you to what we're going to cover and dive right into the webinar. So this is a very interesting topic. So in the next 60 minutes, we're going to deep dive into Scrum frameworks, and we have a wonderful speaker join us today. So I'll introduce him in the coming slides. Before that, now that we have great audience here, I'll quickly take you all through the ground rules for today's webinar. If you have any questions, I request all of you to share your questions in the Q&A box. This will ensure that your questions are answered. So in case Matt is explaining a topic and I'm not able to pass on the question to him right away, I will surely share it with him in the Q&A section. So we'll ensure that your questions are answered. Please use the chat box effectively and let's keep the conversations related to today's topic. I would really, be grateful if you guys don't share any external links in the chat. And finally, for your certificate of participation, we will be launching a poll towards the end of the webinar. So you can share your full name and you will receive the slide deck, the recording, and also all the resources and the certificate to your registered email ID. So with that, I'm going to take you all to the webinar, and I quickly want to understand how many of you have attended our webinars before. Is this your first time? If it's your first time, please mention first in the chat. Or if you have attended webinars previously, I would love to know that as well. All right, so many first timers. Great, great. Okay, all right. Thank you for letting me know. Since we have a lot of participants who are joining us for the very first time, I'll quickly tell you what we do at Simplilearn. So we help learners transform their lives by empowering them through multiple courses that we offer. And currently, we have helped over 15 million learners across 150 plus countries upskill themselves as well. And we do these through global partnerships. So on the screen right now, you can see some of our university and industry partners. So we have some really popular universities like Michigan, Virginia Tech, and also Google, Microsoft, IBM. So we have a lot of partners. You can definitely go and check out more details about this from our course page. And finally, a few quick highlights for all of you. This is something that we want to convey to make sure that you have an idea about the kind of experience you can expect with us. So most of our learners have reported a 50% salary hike on completion of courses with us. And we have also been rated 4.8 out of 5 by most of our learners. So you can expect a very good learning experience with us through webinars or through regular classes if you decide to join us. So with that, I'm going to come to one of the best parts for me as the host, and it's my absolute pleasure to introduce our speaker for today, Matt Gerloff. Matt is a globally experienced Agile coach, Scrum Master, trainer, and also a mentor who has spent years helping teams and organizations improve the way they collaborate, deliver value, and also navigate transformation. And what makes Matt's perspective especially valuable is that his work goes beyond frameworks and ceremonies. He works deeply at the intersection of agile coaching, team dynamics, leadership behavior, and organizational change. And one important aspect is that he has already helped teams become more self-managing, and he has helped leaders across industries. So we are learning from somebody who has a lot of experience in this field, and I think Math sessions are amazing. I truly enjoy them as a host, and I really look forward to this session as well. So once again, Matt, thank you for joining us. It's wonderful to have you. I'm sure everyone's waiting to hear more from you.
Thank you. Thank you, Sweta. So nice to be here. And I always feel like a first timer because it's so exciting to be. We have always meeting new people, exciting perspectives, great questions, and I have a lot of passion about this beyond the resume. So I'm always excited to be with you guys.
Right. Thank you so much, Matt. We have a lot to cover. So I'm going to start with something I constantly hear. So, Matt, one thing we constantly hear is that organizations say that they are agile, but teams still struggle with delivery and adaptability. So, from your experience, what actually makes Scrum so effective compared to other frameworks out there?
Oh, great question. The most exciting thing about Scrum, just thinking holistically out of the box, like I always go back to the first time I was a part of Scrum. I didn't know what it was. Guys, I literally went into a room. It was my first contract ever. And in the morning, I joined the company and they said, "Hey, we just had the stand-up start. You might want to join in." And I saw a big circle of people, and for the first time, I saw the magic of Scrum right there. I had never experienced that before. And I saw people actually sharing and talking and collaborating and really in real time talking through those issues in the morning. And that's where the bug bit me. So that ties into why is it so effective? It's because it's very organic, it's very simple, and it's aligned with the way that we actually work. It's common sense and it's very light. It's very light. It's how to describe it, Swetha and I were just talking about other approaches and other methods and taking the exams, and we were talking about the new materials, and I immediately imagined entire phone books. Scrum, on the other hand, is it's hard to do, don't get me wrong, but it's easy to get started, and you can always kind of fill in. So instead of a phone book, thick phone book, those of you, I'm probably dating myself, there are no more phone books most places around the world, but it's 11 pages and it's the mastery and the organic way to absorb it that really matters. So I believe that's because it's so flexible and it's so organic. I believe that's what is the reason why organizations want it.
That's great to know, Matt. And I now that we're clear on why organizations should choose Scrum, we should also talk about the philosophical foundation of Scrum. That's not something that we usually hear people talk about, and I believe there are three pillars of empiricism. So, could you talk to us a little more in depth? Is this valuable from an exam point of view? Is this being tested right now? And how much importance should an aspirant for the exam give this?
I, the fun thing is, I think it comes from the movie Spider-Man. And I always, I never see that part of the movie Spider-Man, and they actually tell me these words that I'm about to quote are not from Spider-Man, but they're from Spider-Man's aunt or Spider-Man's mom or grandma. But it is something akin to with a great responsibility. Uh, with great freedom comes great responsibility. I always butcher it, but I like butchering it because it's something really common sense. And this is really what most agility and especially Scrum is about. It is that self-management of the work and self organization of the teams. And in order to achieve that, we are quickly put in a situation where we need to be able to inspect things. And in order to inspect things, we need to quickly be able to see them and seamlessly. So we have a lot of tools. We have a lot of ways to make things transparent. As a matter of fact, uh, developers that are being exposed to Scrum for the first time struggle with this because we have a lot of meetings, but they're small, short meetings, and the entire purpose of them is to make things transparent and being able to inspect them. So while we value focus quite a bit to the point where it's one of the five values of Scrum, we constantly create these opportunities to see things, make them transparent. Think about the flashlight in the dark, right? In order to inspect things, I need to see them. Then to inspect them, which is constantly. That's why we have the daily Scrum. That's why we have the reviews. Every event in Scrum, quote unquote, meeting is an opportunity for us to make things transparent and inspect. And then what's the point of seeing things, making sense of them, which is the inspection, if we're not making changes? And so that's where that flexibility comes in the sprint Scrum method, is that transparency, inspection, and adaptation. These are the three pillars, and they go together. It's the three-legged stool upon which Scrum stands.
Right. And thank you for explaining that in depth. And it's great to see how Scrum treats learning as a very important part of the process itself through transparency, inspection, and adaptation. But Matt, another important aspect that I've heard quite a few people talk about is also about Scrum values. And I believe that also has a lot of importance in this. So could you talk to us about that? And can you also let us know if this is being tested in the exams? Because we have a few participants who are also aspiring to write the exam. So from an exam point of view, would this be relevant to them?
Absolutely. I struggle to think of an exam in Scrum that doesn't cover the values, and I know it's a little bit of a stereotype to talk about the values, and I teach a lot of Scrum. I taught it for better part of more than a decade now, and I see students, honestly, when we get to the values, it's a little bit like people start falling asleep. We talk about that philosophical part, but it's one of those things that are actually very important, and they're not front loaded. The best way to think of these is, have you guys ever been to a different country? I'm Bulgarian. I haven't always lived in the US here, and so the best way to re-examine your values and wonder of who you are is to go into a different country and see people kind of looking at you differently. They're kind of not questioning, but all of a sudden, they're kind of curious about you. Are you doing things right? Are you doing things wrong? And you all of a sudden, a little bit, even though you're confident and you love where you're from, you kind of start re-examining and questioning and a little bit defending the values and what you stand for. And so this is the best organic way for me to explain why the values matter. They won't really matter on day one when you first start. When you first start, you're going to be thinking, what do I do now? My boss is looking at me. It doesn't look like I'm working. I'm a Scrum Master. I'm a product owner. I'm a developer. I mean, you'll be doing work, but you'll be kind of nervous. Am I doing the right stuff? Like tactically, like what are the things I do? You're not going to be worried about the values. Trust me. Where the values will come from is when you first meet your big challenge. And that challenge is really examining and testing the way you work and the Scrum. And this is just like being in a foreign country. And people say like, oh, like you guys are this, you guys are that. And I'm mentioning it because the world right now is shaking and there's a lot of re-examining. And so as an immigrant, I always go back to kind of the basics of what makes me X, Y, and Z, right? What makes me represent and why do I care? Everybody, it's like loving your family. You love them because you love them. You love your country because, that's where you're from. That's what you stand for. But explaining it to others and what really matters is you start wondering about these kind of specific things. And this is when you start struggling and really have your first battle into Scrum is where the values are going to help you kind of and where I use the values is when we're having a tough time as a team, I bring up the values and I say, hey, which one of these five things could we use more of to get us through this challenge? And you'll be surprised. I've never been with a team where they once say like, hey, we need more focus. We were all over the place. We created and manufactured too many extra meetings. Maybe we need to go back and focus on the product, focus on getting more uh, specific, dedicated time to work. So we talked about transparency, inspection, and adaptation. Scrum values will really come uh, helpful, and they'll be helpful when it's time to really draw on some of that inner strength on why are we really doing things this way. It's very expensive. It's very hard to do it this way. What do we kind of look bigger picture to give us some strength and direction? And just a quick overview: commitment, focus. Um, you're committing to that goal. Scrum is organized around a goal. The goal is extremely important. Focus, I already mentioned. Openness, you can't make things transparent because it's not just you, it's a group of people. So openness will really help you be transparent and allow you to inspect as a team. Are you open enough? Are you kind of open-minded? Do you have the psychological safety? All these things. Respect goes without saying because we're not just together to drink chai and talk about what happened over the weekend and what we posted on Instagram. It's about making tough decisions, and without respect, we can't have these tough conversations. And to have tough conversations, it's not just about respecting others and ourselves. We need that courage to take that extra step and to expose ourselves and be vulnerable and commit to making mistakes. And ultimately, Scrum is about innovation, tackling complex work with innovation. So without courage, it will be hard to make that step into the unknown and tackle complexity. So they all come in sync together. And trust me, on day one, they will seem like, you're falling asleep. But when things get tough, this is where you will draw your strength.
Thank you so much, Matt. That was such a great explanation, and also the fact that you gave us
Thank you.
this example of going to another country is something I think all of us can relate to. And I think it is also relevant, like you said, when the team goes through a difficult time. And I'm sure everyone in this webinar can also relate to that and probably use this as well as at work. So before we move on, I also have a quick question to the audience. Are you all currently using Agile and Scrum at work? Which phase are you in? Are you exploring right now? Are you writing the exam? What is your reason to join today's webinar? So this will also give us some more context on what we will be covering in the upcoming slides. So please let us know in the chat. So I can see someone say writing the exam. Not yet. Okay. Somebody is, I don't know their name. So one person is using Agile. A few of them are saying they're not yet using Agile and Scrum. All right. Role of project manager. Okay. Using predictive at work. Took exam. Planning to start. Not yet using it. Okay, so I think there's a wide range of audience with us today, and we hope today's session will be impactful for all of you. We will try to address points to all of you and also try to help you from the exam point of view as well. Great responses. So there are so many people who are using Agile and Scrum. So we have a very practical segment coming up as well for all of you. So we will get to that in some time. But thank you all for sharing such wonderful responses with us. We have a good understanding of your background right now. And with that, Matt, I have a quick question for you, Matt. And this is something I think even personally I find confusing. There are so many agile frameworks today, like Scrum, Kanban, Lean, and a lot more. And teams often confuse them with each other. And I'm sure a lot of people do that. So, how should organizations actually think about selecting the right framework for their workplace or environment? So, could you talk to us about that?
Yes, one of my favorite questions because I see some of you guys are new to Agile, and I have a confession. Around 2012, 2016, I had the irrational confidence that I could name all the major types of Agile or predictive methods altogether, different ways of working that are popular in the marketplace. And even then, I found out that years before, people could name at least 40, and all of them, just like a religious society, there's all these splits, and all these splits have a life of their own because all these frameworks are open, and when you're open, you're not really limiting people to this and this. So inevitably, different people experiment and they succeed with things, and then more versions show up there. It's like an open source software with tons of versions. So it is, wow, Jim Highsmith, it's been easily 20 years since he wrote the first book, and it was an entire book with all the major approaches that basically you see on your screen. So, where do you start? What do you do? I know consistently when I look at statistics, if you want to go with what's popular, because popularity, if you're hiring or if you're looking for a job, you want to go with things that are most popular because more likely than not you'll be able to find a job. But again, you're looking, maybe you're starting on a new team. What do you use? My recommendation is there isn't I like the best tool for the job. I don't know about you, but I was at a party, and I know most of you guys are from India, and I know you guys know how to party. It's it's if you haven't been around India, that's like a well kept secret. At work, kind of quite immodest, but go to an Indian party and like your world will expand. So you imagine yourself, you're at a great party, always great food, that goes without saying, great drinks, and somebody is bringing more ice. One of the drinks, like the lassies, are getting warm, and you want to get more ice, and we don't have an ice pick to break the ice because it's warm. The ice has kind of clumped together, and so somebody runs to the garage, and we get a screwdriver, and we get the screwdriver that you use to screw bolts and nuts, and then we try breaking the ice with the screwdriver. It works just as good as the ice pick that we normally use with the screwdriver, but the screwdriver is not the best tool. You can use it. You're gonna not dumb your screwdriver if you constantly use it to break the ice and jam it into that hard material. It's eventually it'll be hard for you to loosen or tighten screws and nuts and bolts. Where I'm going with this, rather than saying, "Hey, there isn't one best way," I'm saying find what your needs are. Find what is appropriate. If you're from Bangalore and every weekend, because you have a network of 300 friends and you guys are getting at a party almost every weekend, you guys will go through a lot of ice. And so using a screwdriver is not going to be right, right? You want to use the best tool. You want that ice pick to have that great party in India. So where I'm going with this, guys, is do this. Have that self-awareness, find out where you're working, what your needs are. But in order to choose the best methods, is you have to know the methods. You have to know the basics, know the basic five or six. And I'm not going to go through all these. For this, you're going to have to come to one of our classes here at Simplilearn. I'm trying to lure you in, but it's very essential. It cost benefit, one of, if not the easiest and best way. Come and learn about what's good. All of these methods have their pluses and minuses, and it's so hard because some of them are very, very easy to distinguish, like Scrum, Kanban, kind of the basics. But then Crystal, DSCM, there's some nuances because they morph and they kind of blur around the edges. And this is, while you don't need to know every single thing about them, it helps to come and talk to an expert that can do an A to B and kind of give you kind of the finer differences and details. So without becoming an expert, you can come and get a quick overview of these methods and come and talk to us. And I have a lot of discussions with students, and a lot of students have light bulbs. Maybe if you have even worked with Kanban for years and years. I saw somebody was working on DevOps. Maybe with DevOps, you've done a little bit of Kanban. But unbeknownst to you, there's extreme programming that is kind of the precursor to DevOps that you can plug in and find so many new and cool things, drawing back to these old methods. So you can actually mix and match like a buffet. Since we're on the party vibe, you can mix and match these methods and use different pieces. But it's like cooking. Just mixing things doesn't always make sense, right? It helps to have somebody who has been there and mixed and matched them before. And this is where somebody like me will come in and kind of give you some guidelines. Feel free to experiment. So zooming back to Sweta, we can talk for a long time and describe these. But what I want to tell you guys is all of these have strengths and weaknesses. Use the right tool for the right job, know the job and understand these methods, and then kind of mix and match and find what works for you.
Thanks, Matt. It's very interesting to know that these different frameworks solve different kinds of workflows, problems, and we can also use the same tools to solve problems that we may have. That's very interesting to know. With that, I think it's important for us to move to the next segment, which is about the rules, events, artifacts, and also exam thinking. So before we dive into the Scrum team, I think it's very important for us to cover what the CSM exam actually evaluates, because we have a lot of participants who are curious to know what they should focus on, what they should work on, or spend most of their time learning. So, Matt, could you talk to us about that and probably share some tips on how they can prepare effectively?
Yes, yes. Sorry, so I was drifting. I was thinking about that party, and I was kind of hoping that with so many people, I'll get invited next time I'm over at the continent. At least I'm going to Sweta's parties. That's a given, you know.
You're
I know she
always
throws some
welcome.
great. So yes, the CSM exam. One word of caution is you know, it's funny, Sweta and I were actually talking about the CSM exam prior to joining, you know. Um, it's it's not the hardest exam out there, but by no means should you underestimate it. There's some checks and balances, and there's some kind of finer, smaller details that are baked into the exam. So you do need to cover a great deal, especially if you're exposed to this for the first time. Um, and speaking of checks and balances, it's like the Constitution, right? Every country has a constitution, the constitution of your country. I saw somebody from oh, there was somebody from Papua New Guinea. So I'm going to pick on Papua New Guinea. You have a constitution in Papua New Guinea, you know, just like in every country, and in there, you in the Constitution you will find some checks and balances of powers. And so in Scrum, just like in any other way of organizing works, you always will ask yourself, no matter how you work, who does what, right? Because that's where authority flows. That's where you find out who does what and when and all these mechanics. So you will need to get familiar with that. And because Scrum is not very prescriptive, for example, in extreme programming, we have fancy things like, hey, we program in pairs. Hey, we use metaphors to talk about work, and they're user stories even. Well, even though we can definitely use it's a popular approach to use user stories in Scrum. Um, but Scrum says, hey, you know what? We'll get to these things later. There are 50 shades of practices that we could bring in, and they're all good, and we'll evaluate what works for us and it doesn't. But what we can't waive and what's really important are the basic mechanics. So to prepare for the CSM and to succeed, you not only have to read the Scrum guide and go through the training, you have to really understand these kind of small, minute nuances is probably the best word between the roles, because they're so important, they're so fundamental. So you will need that to learn about them. So things like servant leadership, which is so common in the marketplace, for example, but learn how we think about servant leadership in Agile, how it's about getting information in the trenches, being T-shaped, right? We're deep in one area, but we want to be broad so that we have enough skills within all to perform all the functions within the team. So there are small things that they're not rocket science. They're not something you have to sit there and read for days and days, but just understand kind of the small differences and how Scrum specifically enlives them and uses them. So it's not hours of cramming. It's more of a review, but they're very important. Same with the events. What you do when, right? Now that you know who does and who does what when, then workflows through the different events. They're like checkpoints. They're the real inspect and adapt we just talked about. And then the artifacts. Some of them will be very common sense, like you'll talk about goal, sprint goal. But then if you're all new to Scrum, all of a sudden, if you don't let the information sink in and you process it, you give it enough time to process, all of a sudden things like the backlog. Oh, is it the product backlog? Is it the sprint backlog? Oh, we're releasing. We might have a release backlog too. We might have a backlog of improvements. And then at the test, you're thinking, well, which one is really part of Scrum and which ones we add on? So there's small nuances, and it's important for you to know the artifacts. And again, it's not something you need to study for days, but you need to be aware of all the roles, events, and artifacts that make Scrum great on the CSM. So definitely, and or you come and have fun with us, and in class we cover different scenarios, and without realizing it, you're talking about your work. We're talking about how potentially you can use them, and then you'll both be ready on day one if you're adopting Agile at your workplace, and you'll have a little bit of fun with us, and you'll know these forever, and you'll have a good way to process all this information.
Thanks, Matt. That really gives us a lot of clarity on how they should approach this exam. And like Matt mentioned, it would be wonderful to have you join us and have these conversations, see how this Scrum team works, understand all of these aspects. Today, we are going to give you a quick glimpse of all of that as well. So, Matt, I think I'm going to talk to you a little more about the roles. And one thing I feel that creates confusion in many organizations is also role clarity. Can you walk us through the different roles of a product owner, Scrum Master, and developers, and also tell us how they actually work together as one unit? Because if someone's applying Agile at work, how do they manage this if they are completely new to this?
Okay, all right. So this is probably the question that I get asked the most. So we go through the basics. You see how they work. You see kind of the interactions, and then you go back and you think, okay, I already passed my exam. I love Simplilearn. It's so easy to just go there and interact and learn. But then you go and you kind of that fear sets in. I'm going to be a product owner or I'm going to be a Scrum Master, and I just landed this gig. I know the basics, but it really doesn't tell me what to do hour after hour, what to do between the meetings, what really the day-to-day, how to interact with people, right? There's already all these meetings that are already there in my company. Now I'm a product owner. How do I really work or interact with them? What is my authority, right? Where can I demand things? Where can I not? So I will give you the very basics. And one warning. The warning is that these roles are designed with a little bit of tension between them. There is what Sweta is probably gonna laugh, but what I call, I don't know if it's a real word, vagary. I think it's a real word, vagary. There's a lot of vagary intentionally inserted within these roles um, because there's so many nuances and so many scenarios. Just like in chess, there are hundreds of thousands of moves. In those of us who practice Agile, we don't want to. We'll teach you the opening of the chessboard, right? We'll teach you the opening moves on these roles. But beyond that, we'll give you more of the delicate, intricate checks and balances between them, so you can navigate that tension between the roles. And that tension comes from because all these roles deal with specific things. So the Scrum Master now, uh, kind of as the most visible piece, along with the product owner of the team, they're the servant leader of the team, but they're not traditional leader. They are a leader without authority. They can ask and they can demand and challenge the team and support the team, but they really, by the book, they cannot make the team do anything. They cannot say, "Hey, Swetha, you're a developer, and I'm watching you. It's been 3 months, and I'm going to go and look at your annual review and enter a few notes as a Scrum Master." There's no such thing. It's a role without authority. And so that builds a little bit of tension because you own the process, you own the improvements, you own coaching and uplifting the team. You own the mentoring, you own you're a master of Scrum. That's the name, right? You own teaching Scrum and helping with anything you can for the team to work with Scrum. And you can request things, but you don't have a way of enforcing them. So that leaves you to be that charismatic and knowledgeable leader that has all these approaches. And then the product owner themselves, they own the value, they own the what in predictive methods we call the requirements. The product owner owns the what and the why on the team, and they are the only person with authority that is going to bring and help the team and tell them what they're going to be working on. So you can imagine, as developers, you went through so many years of schooling, learned to be an engineer or developer or somebody in marketing. I saw that some of you guys are in marketing or DevOps. You became that site specialist, or you're forming and shaping up in that specialist, and you didn't go to school so somebody can micromanage you and tell you minute by minute what to do. And this is where you start having that creative tension because you have your own good ideas on what should work and what shouldn't work within the team. But then you have the Scrum Master that is showing you a more kind of centralized approach, and they're kind of working and the approach. So there's a little bit of tension because you want to try all these things that you've heard about and you're excited about. And at the same time, you have your other developers and co-workers. You have the product owner that has an idea of when and how they want things. And so you as a team, on the other hand, developers are the people that do the work. You size the work, you estimate it, you own the plan of how it's going to be done. And a good product owner always wants more things that the team can do because they want to please the customer. So you will, without going further into detail, I just gave you enough to kind of see how you all want the same thing. You want the team to succeed. You want to be able to please the end customer. But there's that interplay inside of these tensions because within your role, you have responsibilities within the team and you want certain things more than the other. So when you come in and we have these conversations and we have these scenarios, you're going to get some real life examples of how these tensions play out so that you're not getting all the pressure on yourselves, and instead you use that pressure to for more creativity and innovation within Scrum. And I know I'm leaving you with more to be desired, and I kind of pull myself by the tongue because of teaching this. I want to tell you more and more, but I'm going to stop here because there's so much more to this, and this is the exciting part. You can come and learn with us.
Thank you, Matt. Now we have a clear understanding of all the roles out there. And I think it was very important for us to differentiate the roles of a product owner and Scrum Master because I've seen a lot of people confuse both as well. And now that we have clarity on this, Matt, can you help us connect these roles to the actual Scrum lifecycle and explain how the different events and workflows tie together in a sprint?
Ah, yes, the most famous diagram. You see this and you're thinking, okay, here we go again. This is Agile. So you see these meetings. First, I want to tell you what happens between the meetings because just like the roles, right? You know the core, you know the most important things, but you're kind of wondering, what happens in between. It's like when I got married, I was so nervous because I'm like, yeah, I know the major events of life, but in between, like what do we do here? What do we do there? Right? It's like any new relationship, and being on a team is just like starting a new relationship, and it's like being a parent for the first time. Somebody who's had kids for a while, what's the first thing they'll tell you? They'll say like, "You'll be fine." You just let it sink in. So there are times where you need to step up, and there are these are the what we call the events. Their event is a very fancy way of saying, "Hey, this is a very specialized meeting that is a very core kind of pivotal point of the process." But what do you do in between, right? That's kind of the question. In between is when you do the work. In between is we have the bookends, And there's an old movie, I'm probably dating myself. It's called Groundhog Day. It's a very American thing. If you've probably seen it, a guy wakes up and every day is the same. It's a blessing and a curse because he's stuck in that cycle. So actually, in Agile, it's a little bit of the same. In Sprint, we have these sprints that are kind of the same cycles, and we repeat all these meetings cycle after cycle. So it's like a Groundhog Day. It feels, and a sprint, whether you have yours for a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, or up to a month, which is the definition, they go so fast that you start with planning in the beginning and you say, whoop, has it been 2 weeks already? And we're already at another one. So you work that muscle instead of fighting it and saying, oh, we just had another one. You basically get yourself, just like a workout, you get yourself into a shape to be able to continuously have these events. And so you expect them. Everything is at a regular cadence. This is a lot different. I saw some of you guys are working in the predictive methods. So we don't have these long phases where we plan everything out. We just have all these things repeat cycle after cycle or sprint after sprint. So we pull work from the product backlog. We already talked about the product owner, who is the owner is a true thing. They own the backlog or they own the quote unquote requirements. We bring them into planning. There's a misnomer about Agile that people say you don't plan enough. In predictive methods, we spend these elaborate meetings of elicitation and we plan everything out to a great degree. Actually, in Scrum, we plan more than probably in any other method because every meeting is about replanning, right? That's flexibility of Agile. Things happen, we respond, we need to replan. So we learn to not only plan, but plan good and plan frequently and plan all the time. And so everything else is an inspection. So we do refinements. It's kind of a look ahead. We spend some time working a few cycles ahead because we can't do everything instantly and just in time. But then we have the review and we have the retrospective where we review our work and the retrospective, very importantly, that Japanese word kaizen or that continuous improvement that is very key to all types of agile. We force ourselves to look and try it really hard to be retrospective and introspective and figure out what can we improve more and more and more. And we wrap it all together and we do it over and over and over again. And there's a lot of details. I just kind of wanted to give you guys a sense that there's several events, there are a handful of events, and they happen every sprint. All of them have very specific purposes, and you'll notice over time that all the other meetings that you had before, you can probably break them apart and make them a part of the major events of Scrum. So and then you start another sprint, then you plan, you do the work, you review the work, you go through a retrospective, and somewhere in the middle of it, you refine or what's used to be called grooming work for future sprints, or you're basically already looking at breaking down the requirements so you don't do them right as the sprint is beginning because it might be too late. So the last thing I'll say is it's a constant game of calibration. You're constantly calibrating as a team, and you get that sixth sense on when to do what in order to be able to do things quickly in 2 to 3 week cycles rather than plan them a year ahead or 3 or 6 months ahead like we do in predictive.
Right. Thank you so much, Matt. Now, this was a very important slide, I feel. So we understand how these are all related, and these are not just isolated activities, and sprints keep happening. So these were some really good points that we got from you. One
Can I
important
take
question. Yes,
Can I
yes.
interrupt you? I can give a 20 seconds. Somebody wanted an example, and I think we can incorporate that with one of the next slides. Somebody's asking, how does that work? Think of me creating, you and I are getting together and we're creating a chai stand, right? Or like a coffee shop, what I'll have where I live. And we need a website because everything has a website nowadays. In a predictive method, we're going to plan all the things on the website, taking prepayments and delivery things and getting swipe or Uber deliveries or whatever local deliveries you have. And these are all different parts of the website. We have to see how it comes together, how it integrates. In a predictive world, we have to have all the things figured out ahead of time. For this, we're taking the most important, maybe one web page at a time as part of our website, and we're saying, hey, this sprint with as many people as we have, we can tackle. We can get onto completing one complete web page, and we're agreeing not only will we do it, but in almost prototyping fashion, we're going to have it potentially be ready enough to where if we need to, we don't have to put live or put online the entire website with all the pages, but we can put just this main page that it's kind of the landing page, and it says, hey, this is our chai stand. We're at the center of Kolkata, this street and that street, and come and get some. What's that lassi that has green matcha? Not matcha, or oh, it has the lemongrass. What's the chai tea with lemongrass called? The Lee? What?
Sure.
Help me out if you know. But anyways, just to finish my 20 seconds here, I'll wrap up my 20 seconds. Then next time we build the next web page, next sprint or next 2 weeks, and next 2 weeks we bring the next page, and then we keep adding on and on and on in a way that rather than have everything up front and building up at once, we're constantly going live with little bits at a time. So this way we prevent analysis paralysis, and we immediately have something for our customers to look at. And that chai tea stand is very happy because rather than waiting for us, they have a web page, and that's growing with time. And it's useful for them. They can start selling and they can put it in production immediately. So that's without going further into detail, that's the difference between predictive and what we'll have with Scrum. Sweta, let's go to the next one because
Yes,
I know
absolutely.
I'm pushing back. Mhm.
No, that was a great point and a great example, and the coffee shop idea is amazing. So with that, Matt, we already spoke a lot about the theory, but when teams get into actual execution, which stage of the Scrum development process tends to create the biggest challenge? Could you quickly walk us through that?
Okay. All right. So the biggest challenge is actually, believe it or not, the execution itself, because all the events, all the meetings, we have a planning without going into it. We have three parts. We define what we'll work on, our website, our chai stand. We want the landing page so that when you bring Sweta's fun chai in Kolkata, she's franchising, so that's her first place. And help me out. What is that chai that has lemongrass in it? It's L something. It's like LEE something. I don't know what it is, but it's gonna drive me crazy if I if
I'm going to look it up.
and you're probably thinking crazy. It's in some parts of India. I know it's not everywhere because usually you have spices and cinnamon in chai, but there are some parts that make it with lemongrass. But so we have that special chai. We put it on our landing page. This is our product. So far, so good. Our goal is to this is our featured Sweta's featured product that she's selling, that particular chai with her chai, and it's very famous. People are looking for that website to get directions, to really find out, see some pictures of that chai looking fresh, the glass wedding, the straw. And you've all seen good marketing pictures, makes you thirsty when you see them. So that's our product. So no surprise there. We can create the goal. We can find out even what requirements or which let's say we put the user needs, Sweta's needs into user stories, all the things. We get it going into planning and refinements. We can ahead of time kind of we know what's happening with the product. We have the review. Sweta is sitting in her nice expensive suits in the board meeting, because she has franchises of little chai shops, and she looks and she says, I love this one not so much. Can you guys change the color scheme on this page because This is way too green, and I just think it's just crazy right now. And she's critiquing, and we're constantly improving because we're agile. And so, but the question was, where do people get hung up? And it's in between. It's those, and I know I keep saying it's the unwritten, unspoken mechanics and the variances. It's kind of where you get where you set loose and you do things in between things. So now you have all these mini parts of the web page, and you're managing them with user stories. These are all stories that Sweta told you about their different needs. I need this at traffic, high traffic. I need to be able to pay with a card much quicker or with some type of token. The delivery boys, I need to have like a special place on the websites where I can quickly check out their orders, like all these things. And then you're kind of thinking, well, Sweta, you just told me that you need faster payment, and then you told us, but your number one thing is actually the delivery boys. It's a big queue. They're getting backed up and they're blocking the street, and the barber across the street is very frustrated and is about to call the police. So that's a constant problem for you. And so we're quickly, Sweta says, yep, that's my number one. Forget about payments. And we're saying, oh, that's cool. We're Scrum. We're Agile. We're here to respond to the change and be flexible. So this answers my question. What do we do? It's that mechanic, right? When things are not in order and things are not going as planned or as they went in our head, how do we do it? And I think of it like I just went fishing this weekend with my 5-year-old daughter. It's like a bucket of fish. You take one fish out, you have to put another one with a similar size so that you have that constant, so you can fit the same amount of fish in your bucket. So, but in reality, when it comes to software or more complex work, it becomes a lot harder. And you have that compressed time of 2 weeks of the sprint. And all of a sudden, that easy peasy scrum that you're falling asleep in the class and you're like, Matt, I got this. It's just mumbo jumbo. All of a sudden, you're like, oh, snap. This is hard. Like how do we do it? Because we're changing and we have to find quickly new information. So the hardest part, back to your original question, Sweva, is kind of tying it all together and figuring out the mechanics. If we don't do this, we do that. We're falling behind on this. Oh, okay, we have a practice to mitigate on this, but then we have to do more of this and less of that. And then it gets really complex. So it will take us an hour to go through a full example here. But I think you guys get the point. You have the different checkpoints, you have the inspect and adapt, but actually how you manage it in between. If you don't finish all the work at the end of the sprint, what happens if one of the things becomes obsolete? Do we look at the goal? How do we still meet the goal and give Sweta something that's completely usable, like we promised to give her every 2 weeks? And there's a few secrets, and come with us, and we'll share all of our secrets during the classes.
Thank you so much, Matt. I absolutely loved the example and the idea of me having so many franchisees. That's very interesting. And I think actually, we've got a few responses in the chat about the chai you're referring to. So someone says it could be Lili chai. That's something that they say in Gujarati. Or there are other options also. Kadha. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing it right either. So thank you guys for actually looking it up or sharing your responses in the chat. I'll let Matt confirm which one he was referring to. And there's also one question from somebody about the slide deck. Yeah, we will be sharing the slide deck as well. So you will just have to fill up the poll that we will be sharing towards the end of the webinar to receive all of this. Matt, so I think we have to move on to another very important aspect, and that is
Mhm.
artifacts and their commitments. We already spoke about it, but not in depth. So could you talk to the audience about how important this is while using Agile and also while preparing for the exam?
Yes. So we can be very flexible and loose with a lot of parts, but you always have, if you're a tough boss like Sweta and you say, hey, I'm paying my hard-earned money, and I have this bomb diggity very special recipe for that lemongrass chai, which is katha. Is that how it's pronounced? Kada? Kada? Is it a hard
Yeah.
D? Calcutta? Okay.
That's
All
how
right.
I.
So, all right. So we have a product, guys. So we're giving away more than free. But seriously, in real life, we joke about it, but this is how business is. It's kind of comical. We watch it in Silicon Valley. I had a intern, and I'm teaching a bunch of interns, very very young, kind of everything is fun and joking. And I'm teaching them, and one of them says, "No, no, no. What Matt is saying is actually real. I saw it on Silicon Valley." So kind of going back to that, businesses are very real. It's fun. We're kind of you're moving back and forth and figuring out the product. But at the end of the day, if a tough boss like Sweta is going to ask you, when is it going to be done? What is it going to be done? I want some very specific things. We have a goal together. So, what's different about Scrum is than most any other methods. It's not so much output. So we have all these requirements and we have to deliver them as described. We focus more about not only what we're delivering, but if we're delivering the exact thing that the customer wanted. So we become goal oriented, and these product goals, sprint goal, uh, become very, very important for us. And we're constantly striving to get the most important things first so that Sweta can inspect and adapt. And she's saying she has more time and she immediately can say, I like this, I don't like this. We talked about something different. Can you build it different next time? And so we have the product go and the sprint go, and we're very deliberate. Deliberate meaning we're not just assuming or talking about it in meetings. We're documenting these as artifacts to make sure that we can review them with Sweta and we can make sure that we understand exactly what she wants and we can fit the small part of what we're going to deliver and build for her as a sprint goal a little bit at a time. Um, and then we also have the definition of done because Sweta is a perfectionist. She wants her web page to be the best chai tea web page in Calcutta, where her franchise is based, coincidentally. But and we have a developer that is never happy with themselves. They say, finally, I found a customer that is a perfectionist. I'm a perfectionist. I challenge myself to build the best page. But they could take years because it can always be better, always be better. We can always gold plate and make things better and better and better. So we have something called definition of done to help us define when is it enough? When is it good enough to where we can say, Sweta, you want 20 other things. We can come back to this one, but let's build you the other 20 things that you want for us. So that's where these artifacts and these checks and balances come into play, guys, and they're so important in driving that product.
Thanks a lot, Matt, for giving us clarity on that. And the example really helps. It makes me understand the concept a lot better now. And with that, I think I have a question to the audience. We are closer to 9 p.m. and we might extend this session also because we have something important to cover. So I wanted to give you guys an option. Do you want Matt to cover common mistakes that candidates make during the exam, or do you want to dive right into the scenario-based practice questions which we have for you? So we have 10 questions here, and you can tell us the answers in the chat, and Matt will also help you understand why the answer should be, let's say, B, and why all the other options are not right. So which segments would you like us to start next? Do you want us to answer the common mistakes candidates make for the exam or the practice questions? Let me know in the chat. I would like to go ahead with your preferences. One person is saying questions. Okay. A lot of you are saying some practice questions. Okay, all right. Both. Fine. So let's go to the practice questions first because it might take some time, and then we can dive into the common mistakes candidates make. So I'll make sure we cover both. So Matt, I've already given them an understanding of what we're going to do. So they're going to be questions and multiple options. So they're going to be 4 options. You can all respond in the chat. I will make the chat open to everybody. So please share your responses. And once we see the responses, we'll first share two questions. You keep a note of your answers for the first and second question, third and fourth, and then we can discuss why one option is right and why others don't apply. All right. So with that, I'm gonna move. I'm gonna hand it over to Matt. Matt, would you want me to read these questions?
Please, you're much better at this. We want to hear more of you. Please go
Uh,
ahead.
All right. So the first question for all of you is, who is primarily responsible for ensuring that the sprint goal is achieved? Option A, Scrum Master; B, Product Owner; C, Developers; D, Stakeholders. All right. So I'm going to give you all 30 seconds to guess your answers. I'm going to read out the second question as well. You can probably give your answers together because we're going to discuss the answers together. So, which statement about product backlog refinement is true? Option A, it is a mandatory Scrum event. B, it can consume up to 10% of the developer's capacity. C, only the product owner participates. Option D, it helps only before sprint planning. So we'll give you guys 30 seconds. Tell us your answers together. A lot of responses. Should I read a few of them out? Dr. Dennis says answer for one is A and question two D. All right. 2C, 1A. Okay. 2A. All right. So many responses. 2B, 1A and 2C. 2 is D, 1A, 2B. All right. Uh, Great. I think now we can go on to the answers. If anybody else is left to respond, please make sure you share your responses in the chat. And Matt, here are the answers.
Okay. So why the developers? I saw that some of you guys are already practicing in Agile, and so this is a great question to have in there because your gut reaction is the entire team, right? We as an entire team are responsible for it. But then we're thinking about the RACI, right? What's the basic RACI metrics? Who who is responsible for it? Who is accountable for it? So the word here, I won't go through the entire RACI matrix philosophy, but we really have to focus on the word responsible here. So of all the choices, we have product owners, Scrum Master, developers. Developers is the best one because the product owner, think of the product owner as the visionary. They set the tone, they have the what and the why. They have the vision, and the entire team co-creates the goal with the vision. The team helps them, the product owner on what's feasible, what can do. The team knows better, the developers know better what technologies they know and whether what they want is possible, when it is possible, and how they can do it. And based on that discussion, they can formulate a sprint goal. But then once they have the goal, it is the developers who decide on how they can execute the plan towards meeting that goal. And this is what behind the scenes, if you understand and you kind of read into that question, you understand exactly what it's asking you. This is what that question is going for. It is the execution is on the developers. Developers are accountable on how, and they're going to create the increment. They're the ones doing the work. And so the sprint backlog is what the developers own. And once they have that goal and they have the exact work that they're going to execute towards their goal, they're accountable for it. Now, at the end of the day, it's the entire team, but that particular section comes within their purview. So this is straight out of the Scrum Guide definition, refinement. Refinement is tricky because a lot of teams treat it as a very specific event or a meeting like the other ones, and they have it at a specific time. And they've determined that in the industry, especially, it's very popular to have grooming, what is known as grooming, but I tend not to use this term because it's been found to be derogatory by many people. But long story short, we have that refinement, which is our look ahead. This is our opportunity to work on requirements and get our requirements in shape for future sprints. So maybe up to 3 sprints, so up to 6 weeks from now, let's say. Um, but the definition is on purpose. And remember, I told you that the creators of Scrum intentionally inserted this vagary. They made it vague because they don't want to define it, because it depends on the team, depends on how the team works, depends on the situation and the context of which the team wants. So the only thing they defined is, hey, as long as the team does it every sprint, it's on them to figure out when they do it, how they do it. Maybe it's a bunch of 20 minutes meetings. Maybe it's 1 2 hour block, whatever works for the team. The only thing is the guideline we're saying is don't get hung up and spend way too much time on requirements, because Scrum is about creating these potentially shippable, potentially usable prototypes every 2 weeks. So in Sweta's scenario, we don't want to spend a 1 week dreaming about all the different things that we can create for her. We have to be very specific. So we set 10%, and this is what the guide says, up to 10% of the developer's capacity. So if you're working for 10 business days, up to a day, which is a lot of time spent on planning on future work beyond the sprint. But this is the only guideline out there. How you do it, when you do it, up to you. But stick to about 10% max. Otherwise, you're doing something wrong. You're starting to get into predictive territory. We're trying to predict where you're trying to predict way too much ahead of time. So this is kind of the spirit behind the answer behind this second question.
Right.
And good job to a lot of you guys got it right. Good job.
Yeah, a lot of them actually got it right. That's wonderful. Thanks for explaining, Matt. So I'll quickly take them to the next questions. So the third question is, a manager compares two Scrum teams based on velocity and rewards the team with higher velocity. What is the biggest issue with this approach? Option A, velocity is only used by product owners. B, velocity cannot be measured consistently across teams. Option C, velocity should only increase every sprint. D, velocity measures business value directly. And the fourth question for all of you is, what is the primary purpose of daily Scrum? Option A, to provide status updates to the Scrum Master. B, to inspect progress towards the sprint goal and adapt the sprint backlog. Option C, to review completed work with stakeholders. Option D, to assign tasks to developers. So please share your answers in the chat. We'll wait for 30 seconds, 30 seconds to a minute. All right, so many responses. Some are saying B and B, 1D, 2A, okay. B and B, okay. D and A, all right. B and B. A lot of people are saying option B and option B. All right, so now that we've got so many responses, I think I'll move on to the next slide and Matt can reveal the answers to you. So it looks like a lot of you are right. The answers are option B and B, and Matt will surely explain why.
Okay. All right. So Simplilearn has unlimited budgets, and we have a surprise for you guys. We're taking you to a city called France, and they have a big museum called the Louvre. It's very famous. They got robbed somehow recently. I don't know how they get robbed. That's a whole nother thing. So, but I take you guys, and it's my team and Sweta's team. And Sweta is her team is looking at a picture, and you guys are tearing up. You're like, wow, this is 16th century. It's like real life. You're almost crying. I can see the expression of this person, and it's stirring up all kinds of emotions, and this is huge for me. This is life changing, and my team happens to be walking by. We just came from a different part, and we're walking by, and Sweta's team leaves, and Matt's team comes in, and we're looking at it, and we're like, wow, this looks like a little child drew it. This is nothing for us. So imagine that our teams were actually teams of painters, and we had to paint these pictures. You see how different our ideas are about work. And you think that software is very different because it's mechanical, because it's engineering, because it's very straightforward. look at all the different products on the marketplace. I mean, have you recently had a product where you use it and you're like, who designed this thing? Like I can't find any. It's supposed to do one and one thing, and I have 15 buttons and none of them do. How do I sign? Like very clunky. Looks like whoever designed it didn't really care about usability at all. It's the same thing as the paintings, right? Different people have different ideas about software. That's why in Agile we constantly validate our ideas. But when it comes to the execution, because Agile is mostly used in software, and a lot of software engineering is invisible, it comes really hard for that 80% of the sprint. So about 8 out of 10 days every 2 weeks on an average Scrum team, we can't really see what's going on. There's a lot of discussions. There's some code that is being done. So estimation on something that's not visible most of the time becomes really hard. And when we add that human ability of one team thinks this is great and this is a lot and this is very hard, and my team goes and builds the same product, and we're like, oh, this is so easy. We can have two of the people on the team build it while we're already working on something else. We'll add additional sprint goal. Um, it's like rupees. I just checked for $1,000, you can get about 96,000 rupees. So velocity is, and if Sweta's team is measuring things in rupees, and I'm in Papua New Guinea, which I just looked, I know at least one of you guys on the chat mentioned they're in Papua New Guinea. They're using US dollars. So we go to the manager and we're doing the exact same amount of productivity. And Sweta says, hey, we did 96,000 worth of rupees worth of work. And I'm like, no, we did 1,000 worth of work, but we measure it in US dollars. And then the manager says, Matt, Sweta did, Steam does 96 more times of work. And then I say, hey, very different. Different team, different work, different experience. Sweta is a bunch of Amazon, AWS. I know they're partners of Simplilearn. Some of the top experts in the nation. We have you left me 4 interns, one lead developer, and a couple of testers that are brand new to the company. They're changing the domain. We have no idea how things will work out. Take it easy. Let's look at our own trends as a team, and they're like children. Love us all the same, but look at our trends separately. If you compare us to Sweta's team, compare the trends. Don't go into the minutia and tell me that this picture will all tear up when we go to the Louvre and love it because it's a classic picture. So that's that objectivity. And in order to be effective and talk to both teams, you need to be able to look into their worlds. So if I go to India, I can't be going, oh my God, this is so expensive. This is 5,000 rupees because I'm thinking in dollars, right? Don't compare that, right? That's going to buy me a chai latte or for the entire team. That's not going to be buying me a small used car in the US for 5,000. So that's where this is. Let teams do it separately. Different teams think of work differently. That doesn't mean that they're less efficient. And so our velocity obviously is going to be different because we measure it slightly different. And then the next one is doing daily Scrum. Yes. So daily Scrum, the only thing, and I'll be short on this, is it used to be for so many years, and a lot of people still do it, and I kind of like it for new teams. It's the 3 questions, right? What do I do? What am I going to do? Do I have any things that's hanging me up, right? The 3 questions. And while this is great to get new teams that are not used to working in a daily Scrum type of manner to have that short meeting, at the end of the day, it should be a planning meeting. And so in order to get away from that status thing, because everybody can look at Jira or Azure DevOps or whatever tool you're using and see what you did before. Yeah, right? I don't need you to talk about yesterday's weather unless there's something specific that we need to talk about. I can go and look at the weather channel and tell me what happened yesterday. I can look at the tool and see what you did. Let's talk about the future. It's like in sports. It's cricket. It's the final match of the series. India is playing Scotland, and you call a timeout, and you have 2 minutes to discuss how we're going to change our tactics to beat Scotland. You don't talk, hey, they just scored on us, and I'm going to try to score a goal again. Everybody knows that, right? Everybody was there. Everybody saw the game. It's not a status thing. We're a team. We're dynamic. Let's talk about how we win the game. So think about it this way. You want to win the cricket match. How do we change our tactics? How do we change our plan? We have 3 days left in the sprint or whatever. What's cricket measured? Is it in 3 parts? Is it innings like in baseball? I'm not a cricket guy, but you talk when the coach stops and we have 2 minutes on the break. We're taking a break. Both teams are taking a break and they're readjusting their tactics and they're talking about it. We know where we are. Don't talk about where we are. And it's fine. You can mention where we are. Hey, we suck. We need to get better. But how do we get better is 90%, 99% of the conversation. So this is what this is about. The daily scrum is about inspecting progress, but it's about really how do we adapt? How do we get better and further in the sprint backlog?
Right. Thanks for that, Matt. I'm going to quickly take them through the next few questions as well.
Yeah.
So question 5 is a Scrum team consistently misses sprint goals because external stakeholders interrupt developers with urgent requests. What should the Scrum Master do first? Option A, extend sprint duration. B, cancel the sprint. C, coach stakeholders and protect the team from disruptions. Option D, ask developers to work overtime. The sixth question for all of you is what happens if work does not meet the definition of done by the end of the sprint? Option A, it is automatically carried into the next sprint. B, it can still be demonstrated in sprint review. Option C, it cannot be considered part of the increment. And option D, the sprint should be extended. So again, quick answers, everyone. So a lot of people are saying C and A, C and C, C and A again. All right. Anyone else? C and C, C and D, A and C. Very interesting. All right. So many responses. Again, due to the interest of time, I will have to quickly take you guys to the answers and Matt will explain those to you as well. So the right answer is C and C. I can see a few of you got that right. A lot of you actually got that right. Wonderful to see that. So Matt, over to you.
Hey, real quick, I'll be short on these because there's so much to be said. This is straight out of the definition on the Scrum Master. Um, there's 3 places on the guide itself, Scrum Guide, where it mentions the Scrum Master as a coach, and it says that one of them says, "Hey, Scrum Master coaches the team," which is teaches slash finds a way to enable and empower them and find out their own abilities and how to channel them. But another one also talks about the Scrum Master is a coach of the organization because while the entire team should not be working in siloing and in isolation, and we should be kind of interfacing the stakeholders. If we're building stuff for Sweta, we should all be trying to understand what she wants. But in reality, in a big corporation, you have multiple stakeholders. They're very noisy. They're very pushy. So that's where we upskill and we expect the Scrum Master to have these what's called stakeholder management. So they manage the roles, they manage the egos, they have a lot of knowledge and can justify how the team works. They can represent the team. And also disruptions, as in anytime somebody is disrupting, they have a very elegant but a very powerful way, whether it's a person or some boss that's or some situation that happens that's unforeseen or some kind of circumstance. It's second nature to the Scrum Master, and this is one of the strong Scrum Mastery points. It's almost a second nature to the Scrum Master to attack these disruptions and find the source. And basically, the idea is, hey, you team, you're busy working. Let me give this a stab. If it's something that we can remove as a team and it's not specifically something I can take care of, let's do it. I'm not the mommy or daddy as a Scrum Master of the team. I'm not just going to attack every disruption myself because you all have a head on your shoulders, 2 legs, 2 hands. But at the same time, there are some things that I can take care of for you and go and find out more information while you're busy working. And this is where the Scrum Master steps in.
Right. I
Yep.
think we have those answers. And next, I'm going to move on to the next questions. And this is question
Okay.
number 7 and 8. And Matt, I think I'm going to leave the last two questions for the audience because they
Please.
will definitely get the slide deck. So they can take a look at the last few questions. So the final two questions that we are going to be discussing today. Question 7, which statement best reflects a self-managing Scrum team? Option A, the Scrum Master assigns daily tasks daily. B, the product owner decides who works on which item. Option C, the developers internally decide how to accomplish their work. And option D, management approves sprint commitments. The final question, which statement about an increment is true? Option A, it must be released to production immediately. B, it is the sum of completed product backlog items during a sprint plus previous increments. C, it only includes features developed in the current sprint. And option D, it can contain partially completed work. So tell us your answers, guys. Already, there are so many. Okay, 7, C and B, C and C again, B and C, C and D. All right, wonderful responses. Uh, any more, guys? Let us know. Share your answers. B and C. All right. Anyone else? If not, I'm going to move on to the answers so that we can talk to you about the common mistakes also. So, right. Okay, D and C again. Great. C and B, C and B, B and C. Okay, so many responses. So I'm going to move on to the answers. And the right answer is C and D. So Matt, a few of them has already gotten it right. So could you talk to us about why these answers or options are right?
Straight out definition. I'll be very brief because you guys want to cover as much of these as possible. So this is straight out of the definition for the developers. I talked about the checks and balances. Product owner decides on what the team will work on. Scrum Master helps coach the team and enable the team on the mechanics of how the entire team works together. But the developers own the decision on how to get their work done. This is while they can be influenced and help, and they can talk as an entire team. The product owner and the Scrum Master don't really have a say into how work gets done. They help on the what, they help a little bit on the mechanics, but it's the developers that decide on how to do it. And real quick on jumping into the next one, um, increment. That goes without saying. Things of within the sprint, what we commonly have the user stories. These are all the different pieces, all the different tasks that you do that create that sprint plan or sprint backlog. Think of all the tasks. So Sweta is testing, I'm developing. Let's see, Santosh, somebody with a last name Santosh here is on our team, and they're doing some type of analysis on the team. But it is the sum of all the things that we actually show to the world once we're finished, show to the end customer. And that is the increment. Increment itself is like Legos, all the pieces fitting well together. But not only are they fitting well together, but they're integrated with the rest of the product. And for Sweta's website example, not only are we adding another web page, but it has to stylistically fit with the rest of the web pages. And incrementally, it's working with the rest of the product or the whole website that we're building for Sweta. I'm going to cut myself here because there are other great Q&A. So let's go back to it.
All right, Matt, thank you for your answers. I think I'm going to cover one important segment before we move on to the Q&A, and that is some of the common mistakes you've seen students make while applying Agile and Scrum or even writing the CSM exam. So I'm just going to go to that slide. Could you talk to us on that?
Yes. And it's the assumptions that will get you. I'm going to speak overall about this. Agile in general, right? The Agile umbrella, whether it's a philosophy or mechanics or however you think of Agile, and Scrum, which is one of the approaches to match the things we're doing in Agile, to be Agile, right? For agility, it's a lot of common sense is built into it. So when you go to a training, even people that pass the advanced trainings, because it's common sense, and most other frameworks are built on common sense. I have a lot of project managers in my classes. They come and learn about the Scrum Master, and they say, "Hey, this sounds exactly like what we do in project management." Uh, and so, uh, oh, it's time. Looks like somebody did a time check. So I'll be brief on this. For those of you who are interested, I'll expand a little bit just to honor the question. Um, these roles in Scrum, unless you're working side by side with a project manager, you're taking, if you no longer have a project manager helping that team, you're basically melting and taking a lot of the tasks done by a project manager and giving them to the product owner, Scrum Master, and the team. So you kind of divide and conquering that authority and that coordination power of the project manager. So a lot of times, because Scrum Master is that leader of the team, they're in charge of kind of representing, and the by default, by explanation, they're the coach and servant leader. A lot of people confuse them with a project manager, but in reality, it is all these responsibilities, like representing the team to the stakeholders on the product side, that is done by the product owner. Decision and coordination, a lot of the coordination within the sprints, we just talked about it. It's up to the developers to do that. And what's previously used to cycle through a project manager, now it is the developers that pace themselves and get the work done. So how to avoid it is fully understanding the roles, the Scrum Master and the project manager, how they complement each other, and how they work together, or when one or the other is absent, how they're different. And like I said, the screwdriver and the ice pick, you can get work done in many similar ways, but you pick the best tool for the job. So the same with the roles. It's the best role that is important. Um, I already talked about daily Scrum as a status meeting, misunderstanding product owner authority. Yes, we just talked about the development team being in charge of getting work done. But by definition, the product owner truly owns the product, and they own the direction of the product and what we're building. So we can say how we're going to build it. If we can build it as developers, we have to convince the product owner during planning and the Scrum Master that we can progress towards the goal during the planning. But ultimately, the product and the product backlog and all the things to come and what we need to build is owned by the product owner, and that's where their inherent authority comes. But a lot of people think that because they own the product, they own the team, and they're kind of like a project manager, where a lot of the major decisions on the development itself. This is what I see in the marketplace, kind of being the biggest confusion. Almost done. Work counts as progress. Yes, Scrum is very certain that we have to be very clear and crisp with the definition of done on when work is done. Memorizing Scrum instead of applying Scrum. This is a huge one where Scrum is about internalizing and really understanding. You can memorize things, and there are definitely a lot of things to be memorized about Scrum, but I talked a lot about the checks and balances and these kind of unspoken things that happen in between, how roles are blurred and how they react. Only experience and through tinkering of what works and doesn't work within the team can work. And also, you're free to introduce a lot of new elements into Scrum. Scrum doesn't restrict what you introduce as practices. So how they work together, Scrum is kind of very quiet, and it doesn't give you an answer. So you can't memorize the whole thing and just practice it. There's a lot of kind of working that's going to come through experience and trying things, talking to experts, and just kind of figuring things out as you go. It's truly an evolutionary method where you evolve the way you work. How am I doing with time? Do you want me to quickly browse through the remaining 5 things, or just cover one or two? How do you want to play it, Swetha?
I think I will first take them through the course, and then you can talk to them about the Scrum in the age of AI. And I think we can give them the 14-day plan is already added to the deck, so they will receive it anyway when they fill up the poll.
Oh, okay. Perfect.
Yeah.
I'll
All
follow
right.
your lead.
All right. So everyone, I just need 5 minutes of your time. I know you have been very patient and you've stayed with us till the end. So we're gonna wrap it up really quickly. I would also recommend all of you to ask your questions in the Q&A box, because Matt will answer your questions. If you ask us in the chat, we might not be able to cover it. So now for anyone who is planning to transition to to Agile and Scrum, we have the CSM certification here. And I'm just going to tell you some of the highlights very quickly. So first of all, you are going to be trained by certified Scrum trainers. So these are not just trainers who read from slides, they are industry experts and they have worked on real Agile projects. Like Matt here, if you've enjoyed the session, you know that you are going to enjoy classes with us as well. Another thing I really like about the program is hands-on learning approach. So you are not just going to be sitting and listening to classes. You're going to understand how Scrum works. Plus, you're going to earn learning credits along the way, which adds value to your professional profile. Now, one very important thing when choosing any certification is also credibility, which we understand. So, this course is completely aligned with Scrum Alliance standards, which means that your certification is globally recognized and respected by recruiters and organizations. From the live Q&A, we understood that a lot of you already have good understanding of the questions and answers. So, it is this one certification that can get you ahead in life. And I know that a lot of people might really get nervous about the exam part, but you don't have to worry. You'll get complete guidance for the exam preparation. So the course is structured in a way that makes the concepts very easy to understand, even if you're completely new to Scrum. And here's the best part. You also get the CSM exam support with this free retake option. So there's no unnecessary pressure on you while preparing. And on top of that, you will also have access to study materials and mock tests. So by the time you're actually taking the exam, you will already feel very confident and prepared to give the exam. So overall, this program is not just helping you clear the certification, but it's also helping you build the confidence and to gain the industry experience that's important for you to apply these concepts in your workplace. Now, coming to the skills and benefits, again, in the interest of time, I'm not going to be reading this out loud. You can definitely check this out in the course page. The course curriculum is also available in the course page. So you can go there, check these out, and make a decision for yourself. We are very confident about what we provide at Simplilearn. And our curriculum is also designed that way. And for everybody who has asked us about the course investment, so the course fee for Indian learners is 17,135, and for learners in the US, it is $349. Wherever you're joining us from, you can actually get all of these details from the website itself. So if you're visiting from another country, it's gonna show you the pricing as per your country. And when you compare this amount with the career opportunities, salary growth, and global recognition that comes with Scrum certification, it's going to be a very valuable investment. So if you are thinking about this, or if you would like to know more, again, we cannot answer all of your questions about how much how relevant this is for your career. You can talk to our learning advisors. And for that, I'm going to quickly launch a poll. All you will have to do is click on a yes, and our team will reach out to you at the earliest. So please give me a second. All right, so I have launched the poll and I hope it's visible to all of you. If you would want to talk to our learning advisors, you can definitely go ahead, click on a yes. They're going to tell you about the program, when you can join, the program structure. And trust me, CSM does not take a lot of your time. You can prepare well with expert guidance. And I'm sure a lot of you would have also enjoyed your class or this webinar today with Matt. I learned a lot and I'm hoping you all did too. In the meantime, as you all are filling up the poll, I will also quickly move on to the agile, no, to the slide on AI. So that will be the last slide that we are covering. Everything else will be given to you as a part of the slide deck. So, Matt, I think this is a very important slide for us to cover. So, has Scrum evolved in the age of AI, and what can one expect in the coming years if they choose this certification?
This is the 5 million rupee question. I, you know, it's definitely AI is impacting. I don't need to tell you guys. We're all bombarded with the noise, and Scrum, of like all things, has both been boosted and challenged by AI. My idea, my not idea, but my recommendation, those of you who are already in Scrum or thinking about getting in Scrum, um, it's the coaching advice I'll give you. Uh, Change the way you think about it. I myself used to spend a lot of time ruminating, sitting there thinking like, oh my goodness, AI is coming. What's the best way to do it? And it's analysis paralysis. My advice is don't give in to the analysis paralysis. While AI is changing literally by the week, and what you learn this week might be obsolete in 2 months, I wouldn't spend all of my time getting into the latest and greatest of AI. But already AI is integrated into the tools of Agile and into ways of doing. Like this morning, I was just talking to my boss. I analyzed the velocity tool that our company had with the help of Copilot, and I compared it to my own queries. And I said, hey, give me the delta of the results. Why my own queries, which I think are more aligned with what we're trying to do, are differing with the default Azure DevOps query. So you can start with something simple like that, figure out ways that you're stumbling on in your own work and learn them and see how you can improve them from simple queries, automating things like summaries. I found out some meetings where I have to give kind of a rundown and explain things. I know all of you are already doing it, so I don't need to say it, but maybe one person has been out of the workplace for a while. So if you're in a meeting, I'm not technical myself, and it's very technical. I can take the transcript and plug it in and say, hey, AI, give me the outputs, give me all the things that I need to know, give me how I need to follow up. What do I need to learn and upskill in order to succeed in understanding this meeting? What are the type of technologies? You'll be amazed on how many things you can learn from AI. So for now, nobody knows what the future brings, but I think AI is augmenting and improving Scrum. It's not necessarily replacing it. I haven't seen, because of the human side of Agile and human side of Scrum and all the coaching and approaching and being able to really listen in. AI has some ways, and for example, it can listen in on a transcript of a meeting and say like, "Oh, Sweta sounded like she's her usual Sweta in this meeting," but run the transcript, find these little fine details of her tone of voice, and it will say like, "Oh, Sweta, like 3 weeks ago she was slightly defensive, but today she's extremely happy, vibrant, open-minded. Her tone of voice is very positive, very perceptive. This is the best meeting of all to bring in an idea. Sounds like this is a good time as a stakeholder to talk to her. So there is that psychometric side of it, but I don't see AI necessarily replacing in a way it helps with Scrum. So I'm telling you all these things that you might already know, but how do you monetize them and how do you take advantage of them? I'm doing it myself, so I wouldn't tell you anything that I'm not doing. What I do is I take the most popular tools, first starting with the work that I'm doing right now, for example, Azure DevOps. And I'm thinking like, what are all these things? Thinking like in 2 years, 3 years, what would a Scrum Master be, coach, or anybody in that position be valued? How can it enhance? What will my toolbox be and change? Because it's not going to be the same. It's going to be a lot of AI. How do I upskill? How do I jump on these tools and take advantage of them today? And where is it going? Kind of look at that edge to challenge yourself a little bit. Companies are utilizing, especially big corporations, are utilizing AI big time. Executives right now are facing a lot of pressure to show progress with AI and show profit. So as a Scrum Master or anybody in Agile, project managers too, I know a lot of you guys are project managers, you're no exception. So if you can show value of being able to use AI within your current tool set, use AI independently to verify and test a lot of the things that you're doing, automate a lot of your communication. I'm already having AI help me plug in and do extracts of my emails that are not related directly to my work. So I don't have to read all of the news and bulletins. So I kind of get abstracts. But also go into the tool sets. For example, Jira. If you're not using Jira at work today, go and look at some of the newer things that Jira is doing with AI and some of the newer tools out there. And also, you're also a trainer and a coach of the team as a Scrum Master. So whether you're a product owner or a project manager, a lot of the business analysis and product knowledge and product tools, for example, wire diagramming. You saw that Figma, and I don't think Figma is working with Simplilearn, so I can talk about it. A very, very expensive tool. Now there's, as of a month ago, there is an AI alternative to where somebody who's not trained on UI like myself, with the help of AI, can start mocking and using, creating websites and screens and kind of user experience. With plain language, and AI can kind of help and be the designer and be that UI expert and analyze side by side as I'm creating things that I'm doing. So this is one way to upskill, maybe find out, I forget exactly what, and I don't want to advertise, that there are many competing tools out there with AI. But remember, in Agile, we're trying to be T-shaped, and this is more true than ever. You're deep experts maybe in project management, scrum mastery, product ownership. Keep learning, keep challenging yourself. Go to Simplilearn and take all the classes into that you can, to distinguish yourself above the competition and keep your skills up. But the T part of the ship, to be broad, find out what AI is doing with all these little fields that are adjacent to Agile and Scrum, not just technically, like I just mentioned, wireframing, diagramming, because before we know it, 6 months, whether it's 6 months from now or 6 years from now, it might be on every developer, every tester to be actually doing the user experience part within the team with AI. So you want to be slightly ahead of the curve. So right now it's more about not falling behind, but also a lot of you guys asked in the chat, how do I find that Scrum Master job? Get that core at Simplilearn, then look at Simplilearn and see what else Simplilearn does with AI and all the cool things, but also upskill on your own, like find out and constantly look within that ecosystem, because you could be the one that goes to your boss and say, hey, I found this tool, or hey, nobody in the marketplace is using AI in that way. Look at that little app that I wrote. It could save us X amount of time. No boss will look away and look down if you can prove that you can save them time or you're providing value to your project. So in a way, I could have said that 10 years ago when AI wasn't a huge thing. Again, AI is another tool that helps us right now. I could speculate more, but in general, that's where it's going. And we could have this class a month from now, and things could have changed quite a bit. So I reserve that option that I could be completely wrong. But this is right now, from what I'm hearing through the grapevine. I hear a lot of chatter from friends, other people that are coaching. I get hit up by a lot of Scrum Masters looking for jobs, and that's just the sense what I'm hearing in the marketplace. And I'm going to pause here, Sweta, because this is a long topic. So I want to make sure that we're not holding people for a long time.
Understood. But thanks for providing a lot of clarity on what we can all expect with AI. And with that, everyone, I'm going to end this poll here. If you would still like to enroll for the course, you can definitely go to the course page and get more details. And now I will also launch another poll for the certificates. So just give me a moment. All right. So I've got a few questions about the slide deck. We also have a segment, a 14-day plan, which is included in the slide deck. So you can all share your details in this poll, and you will be receiving all the resources in your mentioned email ID. So right now, I think I can see responses come in. So I hope the poll is visible to all of you. If in case it is not, you can mail us at webinars@simplilearn.net. I'm just going to write this down in the chat. So you can just mail us in this email ID, and we will share your certificates with all of you, because you guys have been a wonderful audience. You stayed with us till the very end. Matt, I think they're not able to see the message because it is the setting is to hosts and panelists. You had also shared a response, which I shared with the participant who asked the question earlier. Guys,
Excellent.
please Please don't share your emails in the chat. We don't keep a track of it, and you will not receive the the certificate. Just mail us at webinars@simplilearn.net. And with that, I would also like to thank you, Matt. It was a wonderful session. I learned a lot in the past 1 hour, 1.5 hours actually, and it was wonderful. I learned a lot. I'm sure everyone else also got a lot of insights from you. But before we wrap up, is there anything you'd like to tell our audience, or is there any advice that you would like to leave with our audience who've stayed with us till the very end?
Hey guys, and Sweta knows I do this usually at the end.
Yeah.
If you're here, that means that you're interested. If you're here, you're one of us. Nothing out there, no book, nothing tells you it is your mindset that makes you a Scrum Master and an Agilist. So if you're interested, if that's your passion, you're one of us. Stay the course. It's a very exciting journey. It is something that will change your life, and definitely happy that Simplilearn is a part of your journey. But overall, nobody makes you a Scrum Master. It's all in here, and your stance and how you think as a coach and you act as a coach. So congratulations on this first part of your journey. And I'm hoping that all of you who are excited about this and want to pursue it further. It's very rewarding endeavor. So stay the course. Stick with it. It's very rewarding. That's all I have,
Thank you
Sweta.
so much, Matt. That was wonderful advice, and I hope all of you apply this as well. And once again, thank you everyone for staying back, for sharing your responses. It was wonderful having you. You guys were like really engaging and very supportive throughout. So thank you once again. And I really look forward to having you all in the upcoming webinars. If you have any feedback, anything you'd want to share with us, again, mail us at webinars@simplilearn.net. With that, I'm going to end this poll here. Don't worry, in case you haven't been able to fill up this poll, you can mail us, and I will surely share the certificates with all of you. So I wish all of you a wonderful learning journey ahead, and see you all in the upcoming sessions. And thanks, everybody. Thank you, Matt, for this wonderful session.